So although he looks a little bit more successful than Ross, and he also doesn't look as high as Ross would be. So, Thomas, welcome to our little Sunday excursion here. Jay and John and I are interested in learning more about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a musician, and you do all sorts of cool things.
Well, I'm more of an author than anything. I won the 2018 Gourmand Award for my cocktail book.
Look at that.
And so when you say as high as the other chap, maybe in other ways, because gin is a staple at my house. But yeah, no, it's I do a lot of things. I do a lot of royal commentary. I've worked for royal families. I work for private corporations in the United Kingdom and the United States, and really just living the dream as a transatlantic sort of person.
That's
Wherever
awesome.
they pay me, I go.
That's a hell of a gig. Uh, we we've got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our broadcast. And Thomas is with us. He has got all sorts of different things going on. How do we find you online? Social media, websites, all these things.
Right, everything is at the Mr. Monarchy, and I have my own website, which is tmacearchermills.com. I know it's a mouthful, but there aren't any hyphens there.
So Thomas, you have a very interesting background. You've give us some details here on some of this stuff that you've done.
Oh gosh, well, I don't know if we have enough time for me to go into all of that. So, the basic thing is born in America to an Italian-American father and a British mother, and grew up in Lake George, New York, which is named after King George II. So British history has not just been part of who I am since I was a child, but it runs in my veins. And when I was a young child, I really just clung to that and wanted to learn as much about my family and where we were from as possible. And it turned into a career writing history books, doing things with royal families, writing all sorts of things when I was younger for Majesty magazine, contributing to monarchist blogs around the world, such as the Australian Monarchist League, Constitutional Monarchist of Australia. Tons of friends in Canada. Where I live, we're only an hour and 20 minutes from Canada, so I spent a lot of my younger life in the constitutional monarchy of which is Canada. And I think I was very spoiled because I got to learn a lot more about a different system of life, which is not so different to what it is in America. So I saw the attributes of constitutional monarchy and how nice and pleasant the Canadians were. And I said, I think there might be something to this. So explore that. I've been very, very lucky and blessed in my life. Lived in a few different countries. I've done university in Holland, of course, the United States, and I've done a lot of studying in different countries as well. So when they say international man of mystery, it's not so much Austin Powers. It's me with the flat cap.
That's awesome. We have got a great guest with us today. He is a very interesting author, journalist, and royals expert. We have got a fantastic guest with us today, Thomas Mace-Archer-Mills. And Thomas has been reporting on the royals extensively over the past 12 years with nearly 400 media credits to his name. He's also the author of a Gourmand award-winning book on the royals and their cocktails titled Their Majesties Mixers When They Rain, They Pour. And he has a brand new children's book coming out in the United States very soon, as well as a historically based and educates young children about British royal history. And he joins us today here on our broadcast. So, you know, one of the things as I was growing up, I watched a lot of Entertainment Tonight, and they are obsessed with the royal family. Why is it that places like the Entertainment Tonight folks and E Television and the tabloids and everybody, why are they so obsessed with the royal family?
Well, it's really quite simple. It's something they don't have in the United States. And there's this mystique and this lure and luster as to what is the monarchy? Why is it so antiquated, but you still love it? And the simple answer to that is it's not antiquated. It does have a place in the world, but what people have been led to believe in America, and so much me when I was young, is that the nasty old king from England wanted to tax everybody, and that's just evil and horrible, so we don't like royalty in America. So it's always interesting to see the take from the American media, and this just it's actually a sick infatuation. Let's call it what it is. It is an infatuation with the British royal family. I think more so because they are the royal family of celebrities. And,
Yes.
no matter what the Kardashians might think, there's always going to be another family that trumps you, and that's the Windsor family. That's hands down, that's the truth. The Queen just doesn't have as much junk in her trunk as Kim Kardashian, so we just leave it at that. Yeah, but that's a quick answer to what you've asked. But the real nuts and bolts of that situation is that it's so far-fetched as to what royals do. What does a queen do besides sit in her palace and count her gold bars all day? And when you actually dissect it and look at the work and the charity and the statesmanship of what the head of this family does, nobody can touch what they do. And we've just had the VE Day 75 celebrations on Friday.
Yep.
And the Queen, at 68 years of being head of state, is the only head of state in the world to actually have served in World War II. And most people have no idea about that. She was in the ATS, a mechanic, and can change spark plugs and all these. She can fix her own Range Rovers. That's quite something. So
That's
why
cool.
is there a Royal Auto manufacturer when she could probably build the thing?
So,
Just wrong.
Jag.
It's off with the head.
Well, and that's
Girl
that's.
power.
Now, Thomas is with us today, also to talk about anti-bullying, specifically being bullied by the press. Sadly, he was skewered in 2018 for being from upstate New York, from Lake George area rather than the UK. What the press deliberately left out of his own family's British lineage and heritage, his lifelong love and study of the British royal family. The Wall Street Journal put out a scathing article without including his side, and several media outlets in the U.S. and UK basically just piled on. Talk to us about this, my friend.
Yeah, I was spit roasted. Let's call it what it was in not a good way. Like, it was horrible. And, when the media wants something, but they don't actually divulge what it is they want, it becomes underhanded and duplicitous. And we know that there's some good media out there, but the media is selling a product. So they had come to me and said, "Hey, Thomas, we know a lot about you. You've created the world's first and only cryptocurrency for the royal wedding of Harry and Meghan." So being the Wall Street Journal, I was like, well, of course they'd want to be interested in money, investments, cryptocurrency. And we had tied that coin to 7 of the charities that Prince Harry and Meghan were going to work with. Long story short, they said they wanted to interview me about that and also the British royal family, knowing that I had been working alongside all the media for years and years. So I did an interview with them. They courted me for 2.5 weeks. We met, we did the interview, and a fortnight after that, I had a message saying, "We're going to change direction with your story." And I said, "Well, what direction is that? I did what you asked me to. I gave you a recorded interview and answered your questions." And they came back and said, "Well, we find you to be a very interesting person. So knowing you're from a small town in upstate and you've made it big in your circles on the international stage, we thought we would do a get to know you, small town boy makes big in the world. You've done fantastic things. You're a freeman of the City of London. You've won book awards. You're doing a lot of charity. You belong to chivalric orders. We want to showcase who you are because it's an interesting story." So I thought that would be okay. Well, it's no surprise now because it's all over the world, but I didn't talk to my father for nearly 17 years. And that's a very private, personal issue, which was blown all over the world. And I am a product of divorce, and that was the cause of the rift between my father and I. Well, the Wall Street Journal decided to phone my father, unbeknownst to me.
Holy
Never
shit.
spoke to me about it. Oh, yeah. So then I had a phone call from my brother and said, what is going on with the Wall Street Journal? So I told him, and he said, well, I think you better think again because they phoned our father. And I said, what do you mean they phoned our father? I haven't even phoned that man in 17 years, 16 years. So when I learned that, I sent an email to the Wall Street Journal saying, what's your game? What are you doing here? You know, that sort of information is not for public knowledge. The reason I don't talk to my father is for my reason.
Yeah.
Who really cares about my relationship with my father anyway? I'm not an international celebrity. I'm not a movie star. I'm nobody other than a royal reporting person, and I'm happy to have done that and educated and continue to do that for, at that point, 10 or 11 years at that point. This was 2 years ago. So I got into it back and forth in email, and I said, well, you don't have permission to go forward with this story. I've told you the truth. And bam, after the royal wedding, they waited 2.5 weeks, dropped this horrible story, and started to just say, well, Thomas, we just always found you interesting, and we just felt that you weren't fully honest with us, so we changed the story. And I said, no, you didn't change the story.
We changed the story.
Left out the story. I wasn't hatched in front of a pizza oven from some Italian man in New York City.
So, you know, that would make a really good story, but yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. And considering it's Mother's Day, I'd like to tell everybody that I wasn't hatched. I was actually born, like all of you in the studio, to a lovely woman who is British and British-Irish. But they purposely omitted that because it's not as interesting if someone who is from a British family actually was born in America and then goes to the UK and takes up their lineage and who they are. So they misled the public. They made it seem that I was a full Italian American. Vanity Fair jumped on the story. And there's this great thing called copy and paste reporting. And it's about getting this product out there because what's hot and trending will make money.
Yes.
Vanity Fair never phoned me. They never interviewed me. And then it was the snowball effect. So I'm reading things about myself and I'm like, well, that's funny. I didn't know that fact.
That's awesome.
And then Vanity Fair said, oh, fake royal comes clean, admits about investigation. And I'm like, well, what investigation? I gave a fully complicit interview with the Wall Street Journal. There was never an investigation as far as I was told. And it was quite something. Megyn Kelly jumped on the bandwagon. And when you watched her, she's like, yeah, yo, upstate Tommy. And I'm like, have you ever been upstate? And you are now just being horrible to Italian Americans. Not everyone speaks like Guido from Brooklyn. It's not like that. So it's xenophobic. This is the whole thing. Here I am, a white guy doing, you know, this white person thing about a white royal family. And if I would have been a different color, if I was a girl, a woman, if I was a trans person, they never would have touched me at all.
No.
So I felt really vilified for something I didn't understand because I've spent years and years educating for free with Model Westminster. I speak at schools. I speak to children, to elderly. I've started foundations with my own money. The British Monarchist Society, which is celebrating 10 official years in the Platinum Jubilee year of the Queen in 2022. I've spent tens of thousands of pounds. I've never been paid for any of my royal interviews that I've done, and there's nearly 400 of them. So this is something that I've studied, I'm knowledgeable about. The French call me Monsieur Monarchie, Mr. Monarchy, because I was on all of their programs for the last 10, 11 years. I'm the person that they would go to. So to have the media in America not understand who I am or what I've done and working so deeply with the European media, to now have this travel to every corner of the world was something, because then the media I've been working with for 10 years started to turn away from me. well, we thought we knew who you were. I'm like, you do. You know where I was born. I've never kept it a secret from anyone. So I was like really perplexed. And then get this, you guys, honestly, I started getting death threats. I started getting, you're a disgrace. You should do us a favor and just kill yourself. You're an embarrassment to the royal
Jesus.
family. And then the Republicans, not Republicans in America, but Republicans who believe there shouldn't be a monarchy, they jump in and they're like, well, they should start beheadings with you and use you as practice for the royal family. And once we
Son of a
put their
bitch.
heads on spikes, your head will be next to them. And I was like, wow, that's the core picture of the organization. He was celebrating 35 years of being in Parliament when this happened. And I had sent back an RSVP saying, I'm sorry, I'm not coming to the Speaker's state apartments. I can't do that. I'm so sorry. And he picked up the phone and said to me, Thomas, I'm a politician. He goes, if I had a penny for every letter and bad word that's been sent around and written about me, I wouldn't need to have this job. He said, so come down to Parliament, you'll be amongst your good friends and great people, and if you would have thought for a moment that any of us would have joined your organization, not doing due diligence, not knowing who you were, you're sadly mistaken. And people in Her Majesty's government, people from around the world, for as many people as that really hated me and sent me horrible things, I had equal, if not more, messages of great things. People saying, you know what, claim who you are. And I did that, but it was shocking to me that in America, where you're supposed to be able to be who you want with in uninterrupted happiness, to have that pursuit of freedom. And if people can change their sex, I can change my name. I don't understand what's wrong with that. And I did. I wasn't associated with my father for almost, what, now half of my life. And when I did change my name, it was to reflect my mother's family and the two families that actually adopted me. And I felt that celebrating them in who I am as a person was great to actually change my name. And in 2013, this is how great the research of the media is, let me tell you this. In 2013, the London Evening Standard did a full report about the first book I had written, which was To the Queen, A Royal Drinkology. I am not an alcoholic, I swear. So,
I'm shocked you're not an alcoholic after all of this, but go ahead.
you know what? Trust me. I keep a bottle of gin quite close to hand, but I don't have a problem, and I know all alcoholics say that, but I don't. So in that interview, which has been out there since 2013, on the book it said Thomas J.M. Mace-Archer-Mills. So the author said, what does the JM stand for? And I said, oh, well, that's my middle name, James, and my surname, Muscatello, which I'm phasing out and changing. That's been on the internet since 2013. So for the Wall Street Journal and all these other places to make a big thing that I changed my name, obviously they didn't do any research to see that it's already been out there for years and years. So, you know, if I was a woman that got married, I would have changed my name. Or if I was some big actor, I would have changed my name. Tom Cruise isn't Tom Cruise. What's your point? We all like him. So
Did you have
that's
any
my
legal
story.
recourse on this, or
Yeah, that's a
on
very
this?
good question. And I thought about it. And I was at a point where I said, you know what? You put your head above the parapet and it gets shot off. I don't want to, number one, go against the Wall Street Journal or the media because I felt that they would literally crucify me again. but then it was a cost and an expense. And I had put so much money into research and Crown and Country magazine and the British Monarchist Society that living in the royal world is not cost effective and it's not an income. I'll tell you that much. So the money just wasn't there for me to take on a multimedia organization with unlimited financial ability. And I didn't want to put my friends and family through anything more. And it wasn't so much about me, because for as much as I suffered, my true friends and my family were the ones that were suffering along with me. And knowing what the media was doing to them, constantly harassing them and ringing them and wanting to know this and that, it wasn't fair to them. So I said, you know what? I think this is kind of unprecedented in the first place. So I said, I'm not willing to lose anything more, because they've already cost me my career, they've cost me my name, they cost me my expertise. But then even people in the royal world started jumping on that bandwagon, writing historical blogs and saying, well, this guy has no British blood or heritage. And I was like, you don't even know me, shut your face. So, but I have thought about that, and I've been looking at it again, because when we look at the legal case of Nick Sandman, and what CNN did to him, and this 16-year-old boy wearing a MAGA hat against everyone. And when you dissected the truth, it wasn't what the media made it out to be. And he just won like $250 million. So number one, I'm in the wrong business. Number two, I really think that when you look at what the media does to people in this cancel culture, I think now more and more people aren't scared of the media. And I think if I look at it now that the Sandman case has been won, it sets a precedent against slander, against telling falsities as truth. And I might actually be able to now follow suit and put one in and see how it goes. But I would look at a proper legal counsel first and look at whether it would be viable to do so. Because if I do that, it's going to put me in another position than my friends and my family, and I'm not ready if I'm ready to live that experience.
Okay, I understand that. That's the reason I was asking, because of Nicholas Sandman.
Yeah, and that poor kid.
They kept going. The poor kid was misrepresented even after they proved that it was completely false. You had like CNN, MSNBC, and other groups that were sitting there still reporting the false and forever. And I mean, I didn't know if there was somebody that would do it like pro bono for you, like, because I mean that can be a make or break thing for somebody in the legal world. That
exactly.
The gentleman that took up the case for Sandman, I think he did a pro bono because he just wanted to shove it down their throat.
Well, if I could find someone for like that, yes. And I have been talking to some of my legal friends in New York City, because I figured New York City is the place to do it, because that's where the Wall Street Journal is based. So, yeah, let's take it to their home turf. But I went ahead and I created a blog, which took me months to write, and that's on my website. And I did a lot of research into the Wall Street Journal, and I'm not the first person that they've done this to. There was an up-and-coming singer, and she just had been signed to a record deal, and they put out an article about her, which was duplicitous as well, and they cost her her entire recording contract and career. And I got to thinking to myself, I'm not the only person that this paper's done this to. And the thing that's really funny is that the guy who wanted to do this lifestyle piece on me, or it turned out to be a lifestyle piece on who I am as a person, was a money and investments writer. So that tells you that there's something wrong. Why are you doing a lifestyle piece on someone when that's not your expertise? So it was duplicitous from the start. And when I told my truth, no one wanted it. The Wall Street Journal didn't care. Vanity Fair didn't care. And I had even gone on to the Daily Blast Live. Now, this was an interesting story because these people came for the royal wedding. I dealt with everything for them. I got them free rooms to film in, free tea, free everything. Once I heard
free
them
tea,
speak, I was like,
Jay Bird Wells would be down for free tea.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
I'm there. What's now?
The next time you come to the UK, you'll have free tea. You know what? If I come anywhere in a 100-mile radius of you, I will take you for tea. So, but this company was like, hey, we don't really have anywhere to film. I was like, leave it with me. We'll go to one of our sponsor hotels. We'll get it all done. So the first time I met them, I was like, hey, you're from New York City. And they're like, how do you know? I said, the way you speak. And I said, oh, I was born in New York, not the city, but upstate. Long story short, after the Wall Street Journal came out, they were as sweet as pie to me. Oh, hey, Thomas Boo Boo. I'm like, Boo Boo? What the hell? My Yogi Bear or something, right? And she was like, oh, we want to get you on for your take on what's happening with the Wall Street Journal, being all friendly and sweet. So I went on and they lambasted me. And then they went even further to say on national television that when I took them to my private members club, I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and left them with the bill. So, of course, I had the private members club pull the bill because the most expensive thing is a Kobe steak at literally 100 pounds a gram. So that's a 2,500 pound steak. Are you insane? The bill for 11 of us was 360 pounds. Come on. And I had a chicken appetizer and 2 glasses of free champagne because my private members club comped a whole bunch of stuff for them. So instead of thanking me, they turned me into this horrible thing on national television, and I had to threaten them with a legal thing to take it down. And they did eventually because they knew they were wrong, because I had the receipt for the evening, and I had the text message from the producer saying, Thomas, you've done so much, we're going to cover your portion of the evening. It was not even
Wow.
30-something pounds per person. So it's well documented on my blog that I had made, but I'm telling you, you could not script this better. People would never believe this in a million years, but this is my life.
So basically, you went on The View.
Oh, God, The View, I'm telling you. If I went on The View and I had to sit between, what's her name, Bearhard and Whoopi Goldberg, I think my head would explode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I can get good and have my tea time with PJ Gangsta, I'm going to make sure you sit by me for tea.
You know what? Look at this. I have my cup of tea here right now. You know, it's always have tea. But this is a story, and it's an unfortunate story, but I learned so many lessons. And just because people are nice to you professionally doesn't mean that they have anything nice that they want to do to you or nice to have from you. They want
Yes.
something so they create a story and sell it, regardless who it hurts and who it destroys.
Well, before we let you go, how do we find
have
you?
to.
I unfortunately have
I'm
to.
enjoying him.
I wish we could keep you a little longer, my friend. But
You guys are great.
before we let you go, how do we find you online? Get all your books, be involved with you, everything.
Yeah, please do. I welcome everyone and anyone. So visit www.tmace, M-A-C-E, Archer, A-R-C-H-E-R, Mills, M-I-L-L-S.com. That's my website. You can get everything there. My handles for all of my socials are at the Mr. Monarchy, and that's TheMrMonarchy, the Mr. Monarchy.
Well, you are fantastic. We definitely will have to do this again because you're great.
Please.
You're great, my friend.
You guys are so much fun, and thanks for having me. And to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. And trust me, you're never too old to protect your children. And my mother was the best person ever. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, you are great, and